You walk in tired and hungry, one bad dinner away from losing it. You don't like to cook. You don't want more takeout. You just want something good. That's why there's Dish by Blue Apron. Pre-made meals with at least 20 grams of protein and no artificial flavors or colors. From fridge to fork in 5 minutes or less. Keep the flavor. Ditch the subscription. Get 20% off your first 2 orders with code APRON20. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Welcome to No Question About That. Manchester United 0, Crystal Palace 2. I had to look it up, but it's the 4th time Palace have won at Old Trafford since August 2019. What a record, Daniel. What a team. How's it going? You doing all right?
We are where we are. I would say it was not the worst, most dispiriting of these humiliating home defeats. That's what I would say. I mean, actually, that's not true. It was not the most humiliating or anything like it, but added to the Martinez injury, maybe, that's quite a high level of dispirit that I'm feeling this evening.
Yeah, those two combined is pretty dispiriting. I mean, I created a decent amount of shots in the first sort of 15 minutes today. There's Mainu run against the post. Dallo, Fernandez has a good shot in the second half. I mean, there were a few decent chances today. I think United's XG is still under 0. No, under 1, not under 0. Hey, we can go for that record too. So it was like, it was almost exacerbated with the formation change or the false 9 with Cobby sort of up front. That this U-shaped passing pattern that we've seen in recent weeks where they pass it down the wing and then go backwards and then pass it across the back 3 and then go down the other wing. And it was sort of exacerbated today. Quite a lot of frustration I felt with the impotency for a fair amount of this game. But yes, with Martinez looking like he's popped his ACL again, I guess that puts perspective on just the 7th defeat at Old Trafford this season.
Oh, just the 7th. I mean, I thought, I agree with you that I didn't like the form. I didn't like the team he picked to begin with because, I mean, I understood why he did it, that these 2 strikers are morons and don't deserve to be picked. So fair enough.
Can't score, won't score, right?
Yeah, but so I think the way I might have looked at it would have been to say, well, Xerxes sort of does add something to the way that we're able to play in a way that Højlund doesn't. So I might have gone for him. I think also what happened was he had a situation which is unusual where you've got a few players that you don't want to leave out because they've actually played well enough to stay in. Not something we say very often. But Ahmad, Garnacho, Mainu, Bruno all played well enough to keep their place. And he obviously had to bring Ugarte back for some kind of ballast. And it felt like he kind of, I mean, obviously, as I said, the striker thing was relevant, but he kind of bottled making the decision there almost because he just wanted to pick them all.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have done. I would have left out Garnacho because I still think he's not quite suited to the way that we're playing and is a really good sub. So I'd have kept him for then because I mean, I can't believe I'm about to say this. Mainu is not centre forward. Here we are.
Really, Dan. Well, he's played at 6, 8, 10 and number 9 in the last month.
And didn't Bellingham go for the shirt number that was go for the shirt number that was 6, 8 and 10 added together. So Mainu has got a 9 to add to that. But I thought we started really quite well. And that was unusual. And you're watching it thinking, oh, well, this is okay. But we don't know how to score goals. We've got no one on the pitch who his raison d'etre is to score goals.
Raison what?
I know. It was when I was at school. I remember my French teacher who hated me saying at parents' evening that she thought I was taking a piss in my French accent. And she's like, I've always assumed that Daniel must be a good mimic. which is just such a weird thing to say, because what you're actually saying is, because you're extremely uncontrollable and badly behaved, therefore there's this very specific art of bad behavior that in my mind I'm assuming you could do well. And I'm not saying I wasn't taking the piss, but yeah, accents are not my strong point.
I actually think when you're doing an accent in a foreign language, you should try and like ham it up a bit, because you get a bit closer to the real thing. That when I did German for 5 years at school, we'll get back onto the football in a second. And I had this German teacher who was like, make it like a comedy hello accent. She was like, really, really go for it. And this is the way you'll get closer to the real thing. Anyway,
I find that actually in Italy,
d'etre.
This is going to sound so Little Englander, but I found in Italy that if you speak like this, when you're speaking in English, they actually have a better chance of understanding you if you use Italian inflections. That was what I found. But when we were in Italy, we were at the Sistine Chapel a few years ago, my wife, and there was this security guard who shoved our security guard out the way, and out of nowhere I've gone strunzo. And my wife and the guy look at me, they're like, what? I learned it from Gomorrah. It means arsehole.
Right. Lovely.
Basically my only words of Italian learned from television and subtitles. And obviously Ugats, the ubiquitous Ugats, which is a good name for a band.
I wouldn't recommend going around doing a comedy Italian accent in English and shouting really loudly. It is very Little Englander. All right, but back to the team. Yeah, Mainu up front was an odd choice. I haven't seen the reaction afterwards and what Amorim said, whether he's tried to justify it tactically or not. He never really gives a lot of detail. Loves to talk, Amorim, and with lots of detail, but really not about tactics. He's quite broad brush there, but it'll be interesting to see what he has said afterwards and why that choice and what he was expecting from Mainu in that role.
I mean, I think we know why, really, that he didn't want to play any of the other idiots. Understood, but I probably would have done. He didn't want to drop the ones that he started, also understood. And Mainu can do the back to goal thing and do well in tight spaces. And then I presume the idea was for runners to go beyond him. And I mean, it almost worked. If the shot hits the post, the shot that hit the post, if that goes in, then it is a different game.
Yeah.
And I know that we struggle to score, but just as worrying is having three centre-backs who can't keep Palace from creating chances.
Well, yes. I mean, Palace did exactly what you'd expect them to do. They did spend most of the game quite deep. United had 60-odd possession in this one and 12 corners and 15 shots that were all like pointless. But yeah, Palace cutting through us on the break. Well, that was the second goal. The first goal, I don't know. Do we blame Harry being slow to react or Onana parrying it back into space for that one?
Plenty to go around. You don't have to be selective.
Oh, okay. But plenty of love to go around. We'll blame them all. Yeah. I mean, I feel Onana perhaps could have done better than that, and Harry didn't react at all. I mean, the second one, you can ask a question of the midfield, because Palace cut straight through the middle of our midfield very quickly. Lenny Yoro is looking the other way, doesn't notice the ball down the channel. I don't know that he's actually most to blame there. And Harry is, bloody hell, he's like in treacle at that point.
He was the first one he's ball watching, I think.
Ball watching, yeah. It's just static, yeah. We've seen the best and worst of Maguire in the last month alone, haven't we? I mean, when he has to stand there and like block and tackle and head it away, he's absolutely brilliant against Arsenal and even at Liverpool. When United are slightly higher up the pitch and he gets turned, it's not good.
And it's not even just the getting turned, it's the ability to hold a defence together. So his PR somehow made him into this leader, but the only time we really see it is the hangdog mea culpas, the exhibition fronting up that I'm sure we'll see on Match of the Day this evening, where like he doesn't control the back four. I would say like the most controlled defending we've had in this period the last few years has been when Martinez was playing with Varane, and it was Martinez who was controlling the defence. He's not marshalling the men either side of him. And they obviously have to take responsibility for themselves as well, but it's just really simple. He is not good enough. He's not good enough to play really even for a Champions League team. Never mind a team that wants to go and win the big pots, and United obviously are not that level now, but they're trying to get there, and if they do get there, he will not be a part of it. It's really simple. And I know that the manager's trying to get results whilst cycling through the options, but I think there are certain players who, when I see them in the team, I just like, really? And it's the ones that I know are never going to be good enough. But Dallo, I feel the same about. I mean, I know he always plays. Hopefully we're coming to the end of that now, but I know he's not good enough. So it feels always like something wasted when he plays. And we're going to see more of Harrants now, I guess, because presumably we're not seeing Martinez till next season now.
Yeah, well, no update as of recording on Martinez's injury, but it looked really bad. I mean, it's definitely a knee injury, so that is some time out, whatever it is. Hopefully it's not an ACL snap, because obviously that month's out, and he's had that before. Same knee as well. It's not quite ever looked the same since either.
He was greeting his eyes out on the stretcher, which doesn't make you think, like, it makes you think that he knows what this feels like because he's experienced it before.
Mind you, I was at the game, my season ticket was in the South Stand at the time when Dion Dublin did his ankle. His ankle was at right angles. I was like 10 feet from him and absolutely horrendous. And he was just like, yeah, another day, innit? I mean, not a tear on his face, barely flickered. But yeah, some people have an incredible tolerance.
I once snapped my quadricep tendon. And I can say without doubt that is the most pain I've ever experienced in the moment. Thought I was going to be sick with how much it hurt. And the quadricep tendon is the thing that holds the knee to the quadricep muscle. It's a massive, thick piece of tendon. And Ronaldo Nazario also did that injury, and he cried, and I did not. And I had much more to lose than him. But
double hard, that's how it. Double hard. Yeah,
exactly.
I once popped my disc out in my back, L5S1 disc, and all I could do, since my wife was out with her friends and wouldn't come home. Long story. Long story. Yeah, priority. Yeah. I did ask that question. All I could do was use my arms to crawl to the kitchen, reach up for a bottle of wine, and drink the whole bottle of wine. That was a serious amount of pain.
Humans are very resourceful.
Yeah, exactly. When you need to solve your problem.
So would you say that's the most pain? Is that the most pain you've experienced?
Oh God, yeah, because I've broken an ankle and an arm, and the back was way above that. Yeah, orders of magnitude worse. Yeah. I was once wheelchaired into a hospital, and they give you that chart how much pain you're in. Have you seen this one they use with kids? And they were like, "Yeah, give me a measurement," and the big crying face.
I've been to Old Trafford in a wheelchair.
Nice, nice, good
twice.
seats.
Yes, amazing seats. I went twice. Once Inter away in the treble season. This was when I'd done the quadricep tendon. And so
better seats then, by the way.
Oh, it was amazing. It was right in front of the away fans. And it was obviously in scoreboard end. And it's Inter at home in the treble season. And so United scored twice in the first half, attacking that goal. And both goals are York headers from Beckham crosses that come from right there.
Yeah.
So we're obviously... Me and my carer are turning around, noising up the away fans who were gozzing all over everyone and just absolutely beside themselves with rage. It was as near as you're going to get to being in the middle of the away end when your team score, but surrounded by stewards. It was absolutely tremendous.
You in your wheelchair jumped fully out, like 3 feet in the air.
I was in plaster. No one could say I wasn't injured. I was injured. I wasn't. It wasn't a gym.
Yeah.
I was injured, but we celebrated well.
We did not celebrate much today.
It's funny because back to Martinez, watching the game, I'm thinking he is our best player here,
and he's improved a lot in recent weeks.
Yeah, I'm enjoying the way he's contributing to the attacks. This is, in an attacking sense, this is the Martinez that we previously had, and he's back. And obviously a Wilderness Years classic.
Yeah. Well, the two options are, De Ligt and Maguire will both play all the time, which I'm not a fan of because one of them plays out of position, honestly.
Because they're both shit, yes.
Yeah, and Lenny Yoro may get some more games. Luke Shaw is back. He could play less centre-back, and Mazraoui is comfortable in either of those wide areas, I'd say. Those are the options. So,
we all know. We also have We have one more, and that is Aidan Heaven.
Yeah, he's had one EFL Cup game for Arsenal. It seems like a push to push him straight into the team. But he was presented before the game.
I've no idea. I don't know anything about this lad, honestly. And so I say it. But the only reason I mention him is because we've been told that he's going straight into the first team squad. So
yes,
that.
We have.
And also, we're mainly this season is a run up at next season, right? We're going to try and win. We're going to try and win the Europa. We're going to try and win the FA Cup. We're not going to go down, probably. So it doesn't really matter if we finish 9th or 16th, does it? Not to me.
No, it is £3 million a place. There is that. I mean, which is a player's wages for next season. If it's a few places. But yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I mean, bring him into the first team squad, give him a few games. There's also Godwill Kukoni, who's been in the squad a few times. He also plays on the left-hand side of your can.
Heaven's been bought they said, to challenge Martinez, right?
Yeah, I know. I found this a little interesting as a line because he hasn't got anywhere near the Arsenal team, honestly, this season. I mean, he's been playing under 21s. And again, I don't watch an Arsenal under 21, so I don't have an opinion.
What do you mean?
Yeah, I know. There are other people who watch youth football much more than I do that would have a better opinion. But yeah, sure. I mean, there will be presumably some games in which you can introduce him. That said, I mean, if you need results, Shaw is back. Mazraoui is an option. You could shift Hurry to the left-hand side of that. Sure, yeah, I know.
The way you deadpan that, man. That was amazing.
Although, seriously, he's going to come back into the side. He'll be absolutely world-class for 3 games, and then he'll get crocked and be injured for the rest of the season. So that is the pattern with Luke Shaw. But he has played there very effectively in the past, so there's an option.
Yeah, and so those, because it depends what the plan is for Heaven. As I said, like if the plan is that he should be in the first team kind of next season, because I know that we were told that he was supposed to challenge Martinez. When I looked at it, I thought, I'm not sure I believe that. My sense is that he's coming for that middle position, or someone else plays in the middle and he plays on one of the sides. You put Martinez in the middle, he plays, because Heaven can play. I mean, he's used to a midfield player. So if you think where you really want your pace is on the side, if you've got Heaven on the left and he can play, then you can put Martinez into the middle who can go and be that extra midfield player. So if the plan was for him to be playing next season, I'd be thinking about bringing that forward. I'd be playing him as often as I felt like I could. Because as I said, we know that Maguire's not good enough. De Ligt's not good enough either. And Shaw's unreliable. So probably the best option is Mazraoui at this point as the otherwise centre-back. But he's not got pace.
No, he doesn't. But I think he's comfortable with there. I mean, he has less space to have to play in. Like when he's playing a right wing back, as he did today with Dello on the other side. I mean, you can see how ponderous it can feel like in both wing back areas. And I much prefer him, Mazraoui, as the right sided centre back, where he's comfortable in the channel defending. And also, sure, he doesn't have pace, but you're supposed to have a covering defender. So.
And he's a fullback, so. He's used to being isolated. He knows what to do in that kind of situation. So, yeah, maybe Mazraoui on the left is the best option. Then you only have to play one of De Ligt or Maguire, and they're both that same thing, aren't they? That apparent leader. Yet, neither of them seem to inspire anything better in the people around them. In fact, to the contrary. Au contraire.
Au contraire, Daniel. Yeah, roll the R's as well.
So in Hebrew, you roll R's, and I can't do it, and it's weird because I've been speaking it since I was a kid. And though some people struggle with guttural H's, like there's a letter chet and a letter chaf, and obviously I can say those because I was raised saying them, but able to say them for as long as I can talk. And yet I can't roll my resh really, even though I've been doing that for the same amount of time.
Amorim's got problems all over the pitch, hasn't he? I mean, there's a new central defensive problem now. The wing backs are really both completely ineffective. I mean, Dorgu may end up going straight into the side as a result because at least we'd have one wing back with some pace and physicality and actually having the right foot for the correct foot for his side, I should say. Central midfield, he's played around, went for Ugarte and Fernandez today. Fernandes can most certainly play there, but you take away the creativity as a result. Up front, obviously, no one who can score, and he's trying to find the balance of different types of people. So challenges everywhere.
Yeah, I think the reason why Fernandes is there as much as anything is that without him, we struggle to move the ball through midfield. And part of the reason, as I keep saying, is Ugarte is not good enough. What he gives doesn't compensate for what he does not give. And I don't really know what the solution is, because playing Mainu there clearly hasn't worked, just spends the whole time running about. So I think that we might see more of this, actually. Because it would feel like Mainu can do more in Bruno's position, maybe. Or Bruno can do more in Mainu's position than Mainu can do that. So it's just that the balance is slightly better. Mainu can play Bruno's position quite nicely, I think, and will get better at it. So I think it might be that for the foreseeable future, I'm afraid. It seems now also like Garnacho is going to stay, and it also seems like Mathys Tel is going to arrive. Yeah,
that gives another option. Tel, I mean, Bayern, as we're recording, rejected United's loan offer. They may be looking for an obligation or a higher obligation or option to buy later. I mean, he's not on a massive wage, so United can certainly cover the wages easily. And the PSR cost, he came at 40 million a year ago. So you could cover that cost if that's what Bayern looking for, like a 8 million or maybe for the second half of the season, 5 million euro loan fee. That's all done. I don't think he'll be transformational. I mean, I, like everyone else, had heard about him 4 or 5 years ago in youth football with a massive reputation. He puts it together in bits and pieces, but almost never the full game. So if the expectation he suddenly comes into the side and starts banging in goals, I think people are going to be disappointed by that. He's another option now, rotation option, if he comes, that is. And it's still a big if with 24 hours to go until the window closes. An option further forward, which we need clearly with Rashford going to Aston Villa, which was a little bit of a surprise. We'll talk about that a bit more in a bit, or maybe now. We definitely need another forward, don't we?
Tel, I mean, he hasn't scored this season, so he should fit right in. But
yeah.
I think, I mean, he's obviously more used to Rashford because the manager won't pick Rashford. Before we've even started about what Rashford actually does or doesn't do, if the manager won't pick him, which he won't, it's absolutely useless to us. So it makes sense from that perspective, because in general, I prefer the deal to Leon Bailey or Nkunku, because Nkunku's always injured, but also we're going to buy a centre forward. It's not going to be him.
No, and he's an outside to in player as well. Nkunku, he's on a massive, massive wage, and Chelsea want a big fee, and he's old and he's always injured. That just does not fit with the strategy at all.
And the strategy with loans appears to be getting the loan whom you might want to retain, and that's the upside. That's the upside with Tel, really, that he's got elite potential but raw. But you get a try before you buy. So if it will either be a permanent deal, presumably, or come with an option, then if it works well, then we keep him. And I think a good him is better than Garnacho. That he's definitely got a lot more to his game than Garnacho. And we saw it again with Garnacho today, is that he really struggles to beat a man unless he's putting it into space and running behind him. He doesn't have feet and tricks. And Tel absolutely has that, and he's more physical. I mean, if we turn him into a centre forward, then we'd really be talking.
He's hardly done it since at youth level. He did. He was playing through the middle a lot, but really not for Bayern at all.
And that's also, I mean, the case that if you do have a youth team player who's miles better than everybody else, there'd be a massive inclination to put them at centre forward because they're going to score loads of goals. But yeah. I would still be tempted to try him at centre forward, because if we look at his actual position, we've got Bruno, Mainu, Mount, in theory, Ahmad, Garnacho, all competing for positions there, and we don't have a centre forward, and we're going to have to spend a lot of money on one. So if we can play him there, and it can work, and that'd be very helpful. And he's got some physicality. He's quick. He's got a lot of attributes. And so I've never seen him been totally sold on him, but the stuff that he is able to do is high level, and he could develop into someone properly good. And we see players. I mean, we see loads of players who were good, then weren't good, then were good again. Fabrice Hawkins, who is some French journalist, has tweeted saying United and Bayern Munich can't find an agreement, so he's not coming. All of you who spend all their time watching all the compilations and all the rest of it, like all of us, we wasted that time.
Yeah, very good. I mean, it's kind of related to the point I was just thinking about. I mean, when Amorim came in, he had all these attacking options, but like overloaded in kind of wide attacking option. Rashford, Garnacho, Ahmad, Anthony, and
they're all shit.
Centre forwards to go, and they're all shit. But also, he doesn't want them. Or he doesn't. I mean, he's been playing Garnacho recently, but there's still a question mark over whether he fits that role or whether Amorim will adapt his system to play with wider players. Ahmad is staying very wide. He's noticeably wide today, and then doesn't want to use his right foot, a weakness, if he's going to stay wide, that is. And so he's having to rebalance that. He can't find the right balance in central midfield and obviously doesn't have any wing backs. And it's almost as if, we understand where Amorim wants to get to. And he said there would be a storm before we get to non-stormy weather, sunny uplands. And it really is because he's probably seen that he does not have a squad that's fit for purpose for him. And we do not have the finances to do the kind of surgery that we actually gave the money to Ten Hag to do. And it's it's almost doubled down on the shitness as a result. And I don't know what the answer is to that, because I understand why Amorim wants to play his system. And we're making a long-term bet on this guy, which may includes shipping out one very high-profile player for various reasons, it seems, but particularly because the manager doesn't want him. And there may be others to go as a result of this formation change. And it's going to be really hard for United to give him 400, 500, 600 million pounds to do that job over the next 3 windows, say, because the finances aren't there unless and until we ship out a whole bunch of very high earning players, which is another point I did want to get to. Like with Rashford going and Anthony going in this window, United again, reducing the wage budget. We are probably 5th or 6th biggest wage budget in the Premier League now. I think people look at all the big transfer fees, but the wage budget is miles behind City. We actually might be at a point, if Maguire's saying if Casemiro leaves, that we'd be half of City's wage budget. It's incredible. People don't really think about that. We're still underperforming, but the performance levels based on wages should probably be qualification for Europa League and pushing for a Champions League spot. And we're going to have to get to the Champions League based on young players at a lower wage budget while they sort all this PSR mess out. And it's going to take 2 years.
I know. And it's just, you always get to this point, don't you, when a team's crap and the fans are just pick the young players. And I do sort of feel about that almost with the Heaven, because I can't bear more Maguire. I can't bear Luke Shaw getting injured again. But the problem with defenders is that they tend to take a bit of time to develop. Otherwise, we don't really have many solutions other than just to struggle on, because we don't really have anyone in midfield. We've got Collier, who doesn't appear to be good enough. We don't I think
he's improved a lot. We know where his limitations are,
I can't say I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
I'm not seeing a future United player in there. I'm not.
Well, I mean, we'll give it time, but I know what his limitations are. I mean, he's a very good physical player. His limitations are with his passing range, but we'll see. There are a lot of very young players at United with a lot of talent. I would be very wary of throwing too many of them into a dreadful team, because I'm not sure that the team will actually benefit from having 4 of these sort of brilliant 18, 19, 17-year-olds that we've got at United at the moment. Maybe 1 or 2 that you think maybe could be pushing, and you bring them in a little bit earlier. I mean, I don't think he's ready. I should just be clear about this, but it'd be interesting to see if we see Chido Martin on the bench at all this season. I mean, he's obviously super young, but a player with incredible feet. and absolutely brilliant finishing. He's someone you need right now. We could do with him in 2 years' time, for sure. Shea Lacey has just returned from injury again. I mean, who knows? Like, all these injuries will probably affect his career, sadly. It'd be nice to say they wouldn't, but this is the development time. He spent an awful lot of the last 3 years injured, frankly. And then a few of the others who are doing well and scoring goals. I mean, Adam and I did a piece at the weekend just thinking about how the squad might evolve. It feels a little bit far away from them, but if we're going for a strategy of sorting the finances out by cutting, and I'm not sure you can ever cut your way to victory, but, sure, then that's an option, sure, to fill out the squad next season. And especially if there's no European football, right? Maybe there's an option for, and the finances reduced as a result. Maybe that's an option as part of the sort of development pathway. We'll see, but I don't see loads of them you can throw into this and say it's going to benefit them or the team right now.
Or anyone. Yeah, I agree. And so we're actually in a bit of an invidious situation here. I guess we're hoping that Dorgu is good immediately, and having someone who knows how to play that position, who's in the right place, will presumably be helpful and mean that we can attack down both flanks. But you can't assume that someone from Lecce is going to change everything, like a child from Lecce, because it probably isn't.
Well, he's swapping one relegation battle for another, isn't he? Good for him. So yes, no, absolutely. We shouldn't presume anything with Dorgu, because he is very raw. I mean, you'll have seen all the same analysis videos and comps that I did, and he played yesterday, didn't he? Day before yesterday. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one for him, but at least he will bring some balance.
Part of me, I guess, with this Palace game, just when we sold Dean Henderson, I sort of accepted the fact that this was going to happen, that he was going to keep clean sheets against us, because he's just that kind of individual. Yeah, it's not good, Dean Henderson keeping 2 clean sheets against us this season.
Fucking trolling on Twitter as well, saying it's always great to go to Old Trafford and get the W. He said some other stuff, nice stuff about.
What do you mean always? You played for United. We hardly ever did. Actually, just after we stopped recording on Thursday night, I was watching a pause, like the roundup of the game, whatever, and the discussion. And I was just thinking, do these have it in them to lose a European final to Tottenham? Imagine that.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And I
was going to say it's a bit optimistic that we'd actually get to the final, but yeah, we definitely have it in us to lose to Spurs. Yeah, sure.
Imagine losing a European final to Tottenham. Goodness me.
Would it be the most embarrassing cup final of all?
I mean, I remember being at Wembley when Palace score and Pardew does that dance, and you're thinking, oh, every single match of the day forever, this is going to be there in our faces. And like losing a cup final to Palace, the absolute shame of that. So I'll always have time for Jesse Lingard for that. And also the last great Rooney drive that makes the equaliser almost as soon as they're still celebrating, really, when he just runs past everyone. And that was very relieving indeed. But yeah,
indeed.
Just remember, every time we get through a round and so to Tottenham, remember where it could go.
Well, look, of course, 99 cup final could well have gone against us with Jim Leighton having a meltdown in goal. And I'm not old enough, despite claiming I'm getting on in years regularly, as people like to point out. I'm not old enough to remember 76 and Bobby Stokes being 75 yards off goal.
Offside.
Yeah. Apparently they did some analysis. I was looking back at the worst United teams in history from my Substack a couple of weeks ago, and I was thinking about that sort of period of time. Apparently they did some analysis and tried to prove it wasn't offside. I don't know how. I was like, what? Every video I've seen looks like he's miles off. Anyway, I wanted to segue to the transfer market. We've talked about Tell. Sounds like in real time that's not going to happen.
I mean, presumably what happened there is they wanted a permanent deal, and we said no. That would be my guess there.
Yeah. Even with an option or obligation. Yeah. And then,
well, an option
then
doesn't help them. An obligation does. But I presume we're not prepared to commit to buying someone like that. No, neither should we.
I think that's no, it's fair. It's absolutely fair. Rashford going, I mean, no surprise, right? Like, he's not been near the squad in weeks, just had that one appearance against Arsenal. Well, he didn't appear, one on the bench against Arsenal.
And Newcastle.
Was he on the bench against Newcastle as well? Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, maybe it's Newcastle, not Arsenal. And Amorim has been, I would say, increasingly vocal about Rashford and what he's saying, although non-specific, which is not exactly helpful, but you can kind of understand why he's not specific. The surprise, I guess, not that he's gone, that it's with Villa. And the reason for this is, I mean, obviously Rashford was looking at a move abroad. His people were letting that be known to everyone who's covering the story. But Aston Villa's budget will be most certainly larger than Milan's or Barcelona, so they covered a fair chunk. It looks like 75% of his wages, and with some bonuses if Villa qualify for European competition. I don't think there's a loan fee to go with that straight away. Funny thing is, it won't take that much for Aston Villa to move above us in the wages paid league table, if that's a thing that I'm inventing right now. But what do we think of Rashford I mean, there's a place in the side for him, for sure, because Jacob Ramsey played in their defeat to Wolves, a really crap Wolves team. So there's place in the side for him. He can play off the left of Watkins. He can play where he wants. He could do well if he sorts out whatever's going on in his personal life that is impacting his ability to train, play, focus, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good move for him, I would say. I mean, Barcelona would have been nicer, but he's playing for a good team. You know exactly what they're doing. He'll get proper, clear instructions from the manager who wouldn't have got him if he didn't have a role for him. It's up to him. A lot of his travails can be blamed on United. I would say that he's been in a terrible environment, no prospect of challenging for big pots, so difficult to maintain the intensity, I would say. Probably a lot of bad habits from players who are around him, crap instructions from crap managers. And just all of that, plus a lot of pressure on you from a very young age, overplayed, injuries, just everything. So I'm not trying to exculpate him. I still expect better from him, and not for my benefit. He should be delivering better from himself to get the most from his talent. But I guess it's his talent. He can do with it what he wants, and it's not really for me to judge. Do I think it's time for him to leave United? Yeah, I do. And it's a shame. But I would say that if he'd have been in a better environment, if he'd have been at Arsenal over the last 3 years, or if he'd have been at City, we'd be seeing a very different player, and people would be talking about him, I think, in a very different way. But for us as United fans, we can obviously say you've let yourself down over the last bit of time, with, in parentheses, maybe there's something going on in your life that we don't know about. But when did he break through? 2016, wasn't it? The last 8 years without him, no, thank you.
Yeah. I fully agree. And I know that in the current sort of online environment, like polling to extremes tends to be the norm. And there is a kind of weird top red mentality, which is if you're against the club, you're against us and you're the devil. I've never agreed with that. So I think Marcus has had amazing moments for United. He scored nearly 150 goals. Loads of them, right? He's got nearly 150.
And big games as well.
Big games and important games, again, especially in derbies and stuff like that. The 150 goals, it makes him like nearly in the top 10 ever of United. He's come through as a kid. I have to say, when he was 16, 17, I could not have guaranteed he'd have had this career at all, right? And so the turning point has been the new contract. And I don't personally blame him or his people of pushing for a big contract at the time when he had just scored 30 goals that season. He was right at his peak. Now, is there a correlation between that massive contract and his drop-off? I don't know. I mean, who knows like what impact that has had? I don't think there's a material change in his life that going from 150 grand a week to 300 grand a week makes, right? He was already fabulously rich beyond anything a kid growing up in a council estate who had to go to food banks for food could ever have dreamed in his life. And the sacrifices and the intensity you have to get to that level is unbelievable. So 1 in 1,000 kids who play football make it into an academy. And of kids who make it to an academy, 70% never make it in professional football. That's players who play in Premier League elite academies. 70% of them, by the time they're 21, never play professional football. All right. So the chances of making it to have the career that Rashford have are infinitesimally small, right? You probably got more chance of being struck by lightning than this happening, and you have to make incredible sacrifices. So that is all to say, if something has gone wrong with him, his people, his entourage, his lifestyle, now his focus, like it's a deep shame, and he'll look back with regret if that has impacted his ability to stay at United, for sure, right? At the same time, as you say, horrendous environment to be an elite player at United, right? So many players have failed that you cannot say it's by accident, right? You know,
and also good players.
Really good players.
Like Angel
Really
Di
good
Maria,
players.
people don't like him, but that guy is a footballer.
Yeah.
And he's succeeded everywhere he's ever been, apart from at
Except
United.
at United. Yeah,
the problem
absolutely.
is not Angel Di Maria.
No. And you know, we should recognise that there's quite a lot of blame to go around with Marcus. I don't know exactly what has gone on with him. It's funny, like every single week, there's someone else dropping into my inbox with, like, I heard this is what is happening. And I dismiss all of them, and I'm never going to repeat them on this show until I stand up like more than one thing. And some of them just absolute fucking nonsense. But there's clearly stuff that's going on. He had that double night out in Belfast. Like, was that a regular thing? We don't know. I think we'd have heard about it, honestly. It's impossible to go out as a footballer without getting photographed these days. So that may have been just a one-off, and very, very bad because he lied to the club about it as well. The training thing is interesting.
And yet, who hasn't lied to their boss about something often a night out, ever? Who hasn't done that?
I mean,
and I know we think footballers should act. Yeah, I know we think footballers should act differently because what they do is something that we love. It's also what they love, but you know, sometimes you're thirsty.
This is a very unprofessional thing for me to admit, but I confess that I turned up late to a board meeting after having been twatted the night before. So very, very bad. Learned a lesson, as did young Marcus, I hope. So look,
what lesson did you learn?
Don't get absolutely twatted the night before a very important meeting.
And have you stuck to that? Have you stuck to those teachings?
Mostly, you know, mostly. You know, my own boss these days, so you're like, who cares? So anyway, I think there's lots
Did
of caveats.
you say your boss was a wanker?
Yeah, absolutely, regularly. There's lots of caveat to go around. The best thing that could happen to United, if you're going to say, like, he's leaving, is to get the best deal possible. Now, clearly, like, the option is that it's an option at 40 million with most of his wages covered this year. I don't know whether they've made an agreement on what the wages and that package would look like after the option is executed if Villa do it. And clearly he's going to have to perform incredibly well for Villa to choose that option, because it's not just the 40 million fee, it's the 12 to 15 million a year, depending on how they structure it, in wages they're going to have to commit to over a 5-year contract. So he's going to have to do really well for them to execute on it. But the best thing for United is obviously to get the best deal possible. You know,
I would be quite surprised if he ended up going to Villa. This feels like either he secures himself a move somewhere else, or
bigger. He
ends up somewhere really shit because he can't go anywhere good.
Well, but but even that second one that's not going to happen, right? Because there's nowhere really shit that would cover the 3 years left on his contract.
I mean, like Roma or somewhere,
right,
for reduced wages. I mean, somewhere where he's not going to be contesting anything good.
Yeah.
Which I mean,
there's
is
always
sort of
the Saudi
really.
option.
But at his age, he's not going to want to do that. Like as you say, like, he's got money. It won't be just about the money. It'll be he wants to compete, because in his mind, I think it won't be him who's at fault here. It doesn't seem like that. So he's going to want to play somewhere good. And in order to make that happen, he's got to make a success of this at Villa, or otherwise he's going to be left with sort of mid-ranking Premier League teams for ridiculously low money relative to what he's on, or a team outside the top 4 in Serie A, maybe, or maybe someone good in Serie A, or somewhere like Dortmund for no money. It could be something like that.
Yeah, well, look, I know this is not the standard top red sentiment who seem to have knives out for him, but I, for one, hope he does really well. I mean, it's better for United if he does really well in this loan, and it's better for him. Like, as someone who put it all on the line during the pandemic, like, took on the government to get kids fed, and apparently this is a crime in the eyes of many people, and has taken tons of back page vitriol as a result from the right-wing press in this country. I'm fully in support of him. And the idea that the worst crime he's possibly committed is somehow, because like you cannot doubt his commitment to this club. So the crime is he didn't perform well enough on the pitch, right? And that is his job. He's not performed well enough on the pitch for the last 18 months. And that is absolutely true. And it's fair analysis to say he's performed badly. We don't know how he's performing in training. I'm not there. You're not there. The public are not there.
We
They're
do,
not
because
filming
the manager says. We sort of do know, I think.
Yeah, but we don't know the specifics of what's going on there, right? So if there's 2 months of the manager saying, yeah, it's not laziness, right? I don't believe he is standing there just not trying hard enough, because the message would have got across now. Unless they've had an argument about it, as Ten Hag and Sancho did, for example. That's a realistic scenario that could have happened, of course. So anyway, this will bookend it, at least for now. There will be another question in the summer. Again, the club need brilliant performances from him at Villa in the Champions League as well, which will certainly be a marketable event for him. And then we'll see with, just about 24 hours to go in the window, whether United are able to bring in another forward. Otherwise, it looks really bloody light, a non-scoring team that have let 2 forwards go, or 3 if you count Sancho. And yeah, not great.
But if the forwards we've let go are shit, then I don't suppose it matters that much. Like Sancho and Rashford have both been deemed unpickable by managers. So getting rid of them doesn't actually make any difference. It's just whether we can get them replaced with anything. I wouldn't be surprised if Tell isn't over either. I mean, we'll obviously see what happens.
I wouldn't be. It's
Arsenal's
negotiation.
Still interested. Arsenal beating City 4-1, incidentally. So there's something to be pleased about. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Tell gets reanimated at some point between now and tomorrow, and they find some kind of compromise. Or because at least if the problem is what I would guess it is, that we don't want something permanent, if United were able to just set some conditions under which they would want to buy him, and therefore they will buy him, that would maybe make some sense. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they find some kind of accommodation there.
On to Leicester at the weekend. Well, Friday night at Old Trafford, FA Cup. Ruud van Nistelrooy's Leicester. He'll get a wonderful reception, of course. They've been absolutely dreadful since he went there. They lost an absolute ton of games in a row under him. Beat QPR 6-2 in the Cup, and then beat Spurs in London last weekend before getting tanked at Everton this weekend. I mean, at least we're playing a team that are worse than us, Daniel. We couldn't possibly lose to them, could we? Give me a scenario in which we can bollocks this up.
No, I'd say I don't think we can lose this one. It feels impossible. Leicester are absolute horseshit. I don't see any way we can lose this, which is be interesting to see us try though. Plus, we've got a whole week almost to work on tactics specific for them.
Yeah,
but yeah,
true.
This is one again where I'd be playing Dorgu, and I'd be thinking about playing Heaven as well. Leicester. It might also be the kind of game where Leicester rotate because they might assume they're not going to win the cup, so they're going to try and stay in the league, which they're not going to do. But
they've got a chance because Wolves are dog shit, so they've got a chance. So have Ipswich, by the way. I mean, Ipswich have been with a championship level squad are not. They're only 3 points away. Or 4 points from Wolves.
Yeah, it's just, but in the end, who else? But we still need to find 2 teams to go down with Southampton.
Yeah.
And it does feel like it will be them. But yeah, we should get rid of Leicester. It doesn't seem like there should be too much of a difficulty there.
What are we going to do in terms of the formation? Presumably, he's not going to try Kobbie Mainoo up front again.
You would think not. No, I mean,
let's assume like 5 or 6 rotation options here. Do we see Shaw back? I mean, or is it too early for him? I don't know how much training he's actually had. Yeah,
it seems he wasn't on the bench today, was he?
No, he was not.
It seems unlikely. If you're going for something and you've got a difficult game, then you might toss him in from the start. But that won't happen in this situation. So, yeah, it won't be Shaw. It'll be Maguire, De Ligt and Yoro, I guess. And it won't matter in this game. It's just, but we saw this we said it after Stoya, that we played quite well, but the manager himself kept saying they're all crap. So they are crap, so don't forget that. And it'll be the same with Leicester. We might win, but we might win handsomely, but it'll still be against a poor team. So, and we know that Myers friends, we know that beating a poor team won't mean that we're good. It felt like, even though we lost today, and even though it was extremely dispiriting given the injury to Martinez as well, I'm going to say that I did see some signs of progress in the football we played in the first 20 minutes. It's not a lot to hang on to, but we did look more likely to score than we did against Fulham, for example, in the last league game. So there is some kind of sense that they're working things out a little bit. But then obviously we go and kick ourselves in the bollocks and give them 2 goals. So here we are.
Kick ourselves in the bollocks. I'm trying to work out how that would be possible anatomically.
I was literally just doing it with my legs. Now I was just trying to see, can I heal myself in the bollocks? And the answer is that I cannot.
Well, Daniel, if there was a team that could kick themselves in the bollocks, United
we would be it.
Most certainly. We do it again and again and again. All right, listeners, viewers, wherever you are, sorry about this. There'll be the Tactics Show for backers on Patreon or Apple. We'll do an extra show at some point this week. I've recently been doing monologues from my Substack feed. I don't know whether you like that or not, but who knows? And check out the Lost Tapes project Wayne and I have been working on, which is nostalgia porn from when United were good. What's not to like about that? See you, everyone.